The odds are that Inge is not going to pull a ball down the third baseline, but Adrian Beltre playing him on the line to prevent a double. It would be very unusual for him to pull Ogando.
Here's a fly ball into left. Back at the wall. This game is tied.
Unbelievable.
And Inge has gone deep to tie it. Go!
Break it down, Cos.
How dare you?
Holy flying Not much to talk about here. Would you not give your left to be a quarterback on that team?
The Wheelhouse. Sunday NFL wrap-up with Bauer.
That team is right now destined for the shit pile.
And the sweet, nasty Chris Cause.
This is victory for my ego, baby.
Welcome, one and all. This is the Wheelhouse on wheelhouseradio.com. Week number 6, well, for the most part, is in the books. And on the heels of a disappointing run by the Tigers, an amazing lineup that the Texas Rangers have, just a potent lineup. And of course, yet another loss. I had a very lowly birthday weekend this weekend, all things considered. But that said, please welcome him, the rest of the team here, including the one and only, the sweet, nasty Chris Cause.
I would like to offer up my apologies to the great and illustrious Bauer.
Oh, please.
Friday was his birthday, and he was keeping that secret close to the vest. Did not look for the fanfare that others may have had. And I am far too trusting of Facebook to remind me of birthdays. That's what the problem was. And I did not check Facebook on Friday. It's literally as simple as that, and so that makes me look like an a-hole. Now, I was much more concerned about your baseball team on Friday than apparently wishing you a happy birthday.
Well, as was I. And there was a lot going on around all of that, so it was... Well, I just was telling Jeff, the chap Jeff Peck also joining us here tonight. Hi. I watched the home run that Cabrera hit and then turned off the television and went to hang out with my wife last night. So really, at that point, just was on a little bit here and there, keeping up with Twitter, what was going on, until the 9 runs in the third inning, at which point I just turned off my phone and said, forget it, it's done.
I also came back to that and went, wow, that changed quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching something else, and I came back to it. It was just a matter of time. Did they have a replay, or was that just like the longest game of all time?
It's a good question. I don't know. Like I said, as soon as I read that there were the 9 runs in the third inning, I just stopped paying attention. I had, at that point, pounded the final nail in the casket and considered it done. So I honestly have not a bit of knowledge nor concern.
Now, I didn't see it today because I was watching a lot of football. Did Jim Leland say who was not available for Game 7?
I didn't hear that, but it's very possible that there was just nobody else paying attention to it. Yeah, I don't understand.
I really don't know why he needed to tell everybody.
I don't understand what that's all about. I don't understand why you would... Like, is that supposed to make everybody feel you're extra cocky about it? Because, listen, whatever it's going to take, but I'm not putting our 2 relief pitchers in. They aren't going to go at all. They are not even going to be available.
In football, you have to put out your, inactives. You talk about practice, who's limited in practice, practice fully, didn't practice. Stuff like that leading up to a game.
Right.
And then you can list everybody as questionable if you want. But, you have to have questionable, probable. But there's nothing like that in baseball.
No.
There's nobody that makes you say that. There's nobody pregame who says, well, who you got available today, Skip? And he feels the need to tell. I don't know. I mean, was he low on nicotine every single time?
Wow. It's possible.
It may not have mattered when you face that lineup. I watched very little of this series.
That's what it came down to for me, was as much as I watched of it, there were just... Listen, I know that that with Verlander, I guess maybe the Tigers then feel that they've got the best pitching staff in Major League Baseball, but they're just, I still don't understand how how a guy like Cruz, who hasn't hit anything going into the playoffs, manages to hit
in the month of September because he was on my fantasy team.
Exactly, and then manages to hit a home run in every game, and then how you still continue to pitch to Beltre, like it doesn't make any sense, the logic that was going on behind some of the.
Beltre. He did, maybe it was at the wrong time, but he did walk Beltre.
Right. Well, but it was either that, or you give up the long ball, or you give up some crushing hit, and there was not a moment in that Rangers lineup that, as a Tigers fan, you couldn't sit back and feel like, oh fuck, this is going to be it. This is what's going to happen. You know, there's not 1 through 9. There's not one part of that lineup that you just feel is going to be an easy out. And
I heard Buster only talking about going into the offseason. I know that you're already focused on the offseason, so the three of us could focus on the offseason.
Yeah.
And that if the Rangers let C.J. Wilson go, that maybe they use that money, because if anybody wants to go ahead and pay C.J. Wilson $16 million, best of luck to you.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck with that. So if they save that money and he goes somewhere else, maybe they're interested in kicking the tires on Prince Fielder or Albert Pujols.
Wow.
Imagine plugging either one of those. Chances are it would be Prince Fielder.
Yeah.
Only because he would be less expensive and is younger. So that would be a much more sense for like a 7-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Put him in that 4 slot. And have everybody else kind of shuffle either direction.
Jesus Christ. That means if you end up putting Josh Hamilton into the 7 slot someplace because you've got too many bats there, you might have a problem. That might just be an overload. That might be.
I mean, it just doesn't stop.
I was telling Bauer that the Texas Rangers ERA for the series was 6.58.
Oh.
It didn't matter.
No.
Wasn't it the first time that in a series that no starter had gone more than 6 innings?
I think, yeah.
That sounds about right.
Holland went, 4 innings last night, and they won by 10.
Yeah, don't know, but yeah, that sounds about right.
C.J. Wilson.
He was on the John Lackey plan?
To be fair, his porn mustache went 8 innings.
The Dutch stash, which I don't understand that.
The only other thing that I wanted to bring up in regards to baseball is cause. What happens now in Boston now that Theo's out? There's at this point, no coaching. I mean, is it Bobby Valentine? Is that the next in line?
It's not going to be Bobby Valentine. I'll tell you that right now. The ownership that's in Boston is not going to want to have some guy who likes himself more than the team, and that's Bobby Valentine. I just don't. I don't see that being a good matchup all the way around. What's going to happen right now? Apparently, the talks between the Cubs and the Red Sox for compensation for Theo is getting contentious, according to the Boston Globe. And why shouldn't the Red Sox play hardball? I got no problem with that. Why should it be easy?
Yeah.
You know, there's some anonymous source, and you know how they are.
Sure.
But they say that, the Red Sox say that they would never stand in the way of Theo leaving, but here they are playing hardball for compensation. Well,
of course.
He's one of the best GMs in the game. He's signed under contract, and if you want him, you got to pay a price. I got no problem with that.
It's funny hearing you say that, Cause, because the thing that I'm gathering up from most people discussing the Red Sox thing is that there's more people mad at ownership than Terry and Theo. Are you on that boat, or are you more?
Yes and no. I still don't have the problem with Francona. He treated guys like men, and they let him down. I mean, that's ultimately the problem that with a player's coach. When you kind of let guys be, then they might ultimately run all over you, which is what the case was. I blame Theo much more than anybody else, and while I can see leaving at this time is the best time for him because he's close to the end of the contract. The Cubs, job is a great spot, and if he can actually bring a World Series to the Cubs, then he becomes, I don't know, the greatest GM of all time, top 3 greatest GM of all time. So I mean, and from a longevity standpoint, does it get much better? I mean, what happens if there's another 5 years of thisness for the Red Sox? Now maybe some of that rose is off the bloom there on Theo, and maybe the Cubs job goes away, and maybe he gets fired in another 5 years, or say, just conjecture. So I get why this is tantalizing for him. What pisses me off is you made this mess, and now this is your hometown team, and now you don't have or feel a responsibility to clean it up.
No.
And that's what bothers me a lot. You know, you had one of the talk shows going on at the end of the last week. John Henry listening to sports talk radio. Which do we ever think? I mean, we always like wonder whether or not owners would actually listen to that stuff.
Right.
But John Henry, presumably feeling fine after being injured on his yacht, was driving around in his car. I can't even imagine what car he has.
Right.
Well,
I was going to say, let's be fair. He wasn't driving. Yeah.
He was driving. Apparently, no. I think if I remember correctly, it was like a Volvo.